This is the story of Pranav, a 20-year-old boy who had low confidence, low self-esteem, had stage fear, wasn't able to speak properly, clearly. But one day, one incident happened in his life and his life changed forever. As I told you about Pranav was a college-going boy. He had a lot of problems with him. Poor self-image, poor academics, he had few friends. He would sit on the last bench in his class. He was less participative in any activities. He was, having social phobia, had a very low social profile, would always sit alone. This was the problem with Pranav. But in 2016, he came along with his mother in my office. His mother told me everything about him, like how he was like before, how he was good, he was confident, but now how he had changed. She told everything about Pranav. But while this discussion was going on, I saw that Pranav was sitting quietly, staring at the ground, just silent, not interested in the talk. I tried to speak with him, but he just replied in yes and no's. Okay, finally, his mother told me that, "Sir, please do something for my son." So finally, he was admitted to my institute and he joined. But the same theory continued, nothing new. He would come early, in fact, so that he could sit on the last bench. Participation was very less, spoke very rarely, never came on the stage, never participated in any of my activities. So with his performance, I realized that I have to do something about this. So one day, after my training was over, I asked him to wait for me. And then I started talking with him. Initially, I asked him about his friends, about his hobbies, and I made him feel comfortable with me. But afterwards, I started asking him about his past. It was just like opening the old cupboard, that old compartment of his mind. So I tried to open that old compartment. Slowly he opened up. But at one point, when he was talking about his school, when he was in 7th standard, he stopped. There was a silence. And then suddenly he started crying. I realized what had happened. Then I told him to relax, gave him water, and then I asked him to continue. And he told me one incident which happened in his school. When he was in 7th standard, a new teacher asked him to come in front of the class and say a few words about himself. He came, but he couldn't speak properly. He lost his confidence. He went blank, stuttered. The whole class laughed, including the teacher. At that point, he lost his confidence, lost his self-belief. It hurt his self-image. And that was, as he said, was a disaster for him. After this discussion, counseling session, I noted down his thinking errors. And I told him that, "See, Pranav, man is not disturbed by the events in his life, but he is disturbed by the view he takes towards those events." I tried to tell him that things in life, the events in life doesn't matter much, but what you think about those events, how you look at those events, that mattered the most. Slowly I started training him, building his confidence. I used exposure technique to develop his confidence, his communication skills, his soft skills. Slowly he improved. I was very happy with that. Then one day he came and told me that, "Sir, I want to participate in paper presentation competition in my college." I said, "Very nice, go ahead." So he went, and I was waiting for him to come back and give me the feedback, what had happened there. But 2 days he didn't come back. I called him, no response. Then on the 3rd day he came. But when he came, he was dejected. He was nervous. He was sad, angry. I knew what had happened. And I asked him to relax and then tell me what happened. The same thing happened which had happened during his school days. He went on the stage, went blank, couldn't speak, stuttered, and it was all, not according to his wish. Then I asked him, okay, so then what happened? He told me that many students booed him, many students laughed at him. It was very humiliating. Well, then I realized what actually had happened. Then I asked him what were the exact thoughts which were going on the stage, and he told me 3 thoughts. Number 1 is, he said, it was a disaster. Second, everyone laughed at me. And third was, I failed. I was a failure. I realized this was a thinking error Pranav was doing. And I told him to sit down with me, and I did thought verification process. In this process, I told him to write down which were the thoughts which hit his mind during that presentation session. First was, wow, it was a disaster. I asked him, what is meaning of disaster? He said, disaster means something which is very, very, very bad. I said, for example, he said like a tsunami. Okay, then someone has died. Okay. Then I asked him, in your case, tsunami came, someone died, or you died? Well, he said no. Then he said, but it was not a disaster, but it was very bad. I said, was it very bad or was it slightly bad? He said, it was not as bad, but it was bad. Then Pranav realized while he wrote his thoughts that it was a thinking error called magnification. He was magnifying the event, the incident, making worse than it actually was. Then I asked him to write down the second thought, which was the second thought which hit his mind. And the second thought was this: everyone laughed at me. I asked him, okay, are you sure everyone laughed at you? He said, yes sir, everyone laughed at me. I said, everyone? He said, no, not everyone, but most of the people. He said, most or few? Then he said, yes, few people. Okay, I said, write it down. He wrote down, few people laughed at me. Well, I said, few people, but not all. So you are over generalizing the things. Everyone hasn't laughed at you. Few people laughed, but you said everyone laughed at you. This was second thinking error Pranav was doing. The third thinking error which he was doing was this, which was very important. I failed. I'm a failure. I asked him to write down this. I failed. I'm a failure. How it's possible? I asked him, I failed. Failed means what? He said, failed means when I don't get the results which I want. I said, then what is success? Success means the result which I get. I asked, so how do you get success? In the first instant? In the first try? He said, no. Then multiple tries. I said, exactly. That multiple tries is called as experience, and you are calling it as failure. Remember, there is no failure. There are only experiences. You have to learn from experience and convert that experience into success. Okay, he understood that. Now the third point was, I am a failure. I asked him, you are a failure? Well, do you know a failure? A failure means a person who has completely failed in his life. You are labeling yourself, I am a failure, right? I asked him, have you failed in everything you have done in life? Everything? He said, not everything, but most of the time. He said, I asked him, most of the time or sometimes? Then he said, sometimes. Then he realized that the thinking error he was doing was self-labeling. He was considering himself as failure, and in reality, no one is failure. There are only mistakes, and we are humans, and we are fallible humans. We will do mistakes. We will keep on doing mistakes. With all these three thoughts and the analysis of the thought, Pranav was quite relaxed. I saw his face beamed. He was happy. But he asked one more question. Sir, in that class, one boy asked me that, Pranav, your English is not good. Confidence is low. You stutter. Why you went on the stage? To make a fun out of yourself? What to say, sir? Pranav asked me. I said, it's very simple. Tell your friend that, see, I went on the stage. I tried. It was my experience. I grew. I improved. But remember, I at least tried. What you have done? You haven't tried. Without trying, you are criticizing me. And criticizing is very easy, but trying is important and difficult. Finally, I told Pranav that if you try, two things will happen. Number one, you will get experience. And number two, you will get success. But if you don't try, there will be only one thing that will happen, and that is nothing. With this, Pranav was very happy, beaming. He took his bag and with a lot of energy said me goodbye. But before saying goodbye, he said, "Sir, I will try again." So this is story of Pranav, who is doing very nice, who is improved now, very confident. He is placed in a good company in Pune right now. He is very happy with his life. Friends, brothers and sisters, that is what I want to tell you. Is next time if someone tells you you failed, or if you think you have failed, tell yourself and that person that at least you tried. At least you tried. Okay friends, so take care of yourself and keep trying. Goodbye.